From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, February the 20th, 2019. We open with the desecration of a Jewish cemetery in France yesterday. Approximately 90 Jewish headstones were defaced with swastikas at the cemetery in Quatzenheim in eastern France. French President Emmanuel Macron visited the site yesterday, where he vowed, "We shall act, we shall pass laws, we shall punish." He said that whoever did this is not worthy of the French Republic. Today, Macron met with Jewish community leaders and said he would announce new measures to deal with the uptick in such hate crimes. Yesterday, thousands took to the streets of Paris to protest the anti-Jewish incidents of late, some carrying posters and banners that simply read, "That's enough." Israel's leaders responded as well. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin thanked Macron for demonstrating strong leadership. He wrote, "Your actions as well as your words show how seriously you take the issue of anti-Semitism." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted a video on social media calling on the leaders of France and of Europe as a whole to strongly condemn these acts. A number of incendiary balloons were reported launched from Gaza into southern Israel today. One landed in an agricultural field in the Eshkol region. Local leaders from the Eshkol Council said that earlier in the day, another balloon from Gaza exploded in the air. No injuries or damage was reported. Yesterday, a wooded area outside a kibbutz in the region was ignited by an arson device. In response, the IDF said Israeli jets struck a Hamas outpost in Gaza this evening. And clashes reported on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem's Old City. On Monday, a number of Palestinians tried to break through a gate that has been long closed off to the holy site, and yesterday tried again to breach that entrance, called the Gate of Mercy or Golden Gate. That gate was sealed off by Israel back in 2003 because the group managing the area had ties to terror group Hamas. In the clashes today, Israel police said 19 Palestinians were arrested. Prime Minister Netanyahu met this week with some European leaders in Israel. They had arrived to attend a conference of Central European countries that was also supposed to include Poland. But Poland withdrew from the conference after remarks made by newly named Israeli Foreign Minister Yisrael Katz. If you recall, tensions were already high from Netanyahu's remarks last week about Poles having some complicity in the Holocaust. And on Monday, Katz, who is the son of Holocaust survivors, said in an interview that Poles definitely collaborated with the Nazis. And Katz said of the Poles, as Yitzhak Shamir, referring to the late Israeli Prime Minister, said, "They suckle anti-Semitism with their mother's milk." Poland expressed shock at the remarks and canceled its participation in the summit, which was then downgraded to bilateral meetings. The U.S. ambassador to Poland also called on Katz to apologize. Meanwhile, leaders of the Czech Republic, Andrej Babis, Slovakia's Peter Pellegrini, and Hungary's Viktor Orban did go to Israel and held meetings with the prime minister and other officials. And Netanyahu announced yesterday that Hungary said it would open a diplomatic branch of its embassy in Jerusalem, and that Slovakia had decided to open an innovation and cultural center in the capital. And Israeli media reports that the United States Consulate General in Jerusalem, which serves the Palestinians, will be absorbed into the new U.S. embassy to Israel next month. The report cites a U.S. official saying the merger would likely take place on March the 4th or 5th. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had announced back in October that such a merger would take place. The Palestinians have rejected the move over, they said, the U.S. position on Jerusalem and on refugees. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, February the 20th at 7 o'clock. It's from the Aleph Bet. At 7:40, we hear from Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon. At 8, a look at the BDS movement. At 9, it's a roundtable discussion tonight on the way major Democratic legislators are dealing with issues relating to the State of Israel. Then at 10:30, author Francesca Siegel talks about her book, The Innocents. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And we end our newscast today with the passing of a man hailed as one of the great ones of Jewish social justice work. Al Vorspan was a senior vice president of the Union for Reform Judaism. He helped organize the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism and served as its director of the Commission on Social Action. In 1964, Vorspan was jailed together with a group of Reform rabbis who had joined in the civil rights protests in St. Augustine, Florida, at the request of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He later wrote about the experience: "We came as Jews who remember the millions of faceless people who stood quietly watching the smoke rise from Hitler's crematoria. We came because we know that, second only to silence, the greatest danger to man is loss of faith in man's capacity to act." URJ President Rabbi Rick Jacobs said Al blazed a trail of courage and conscience that so many of us have walked, adding that not since the biblical prophets Amos, Hosea, and Micah walked the earth have we been led by such an inspiring justice leader. Our reform movement and our world are bereft, for he cannot be replaced. Vorspan died on Saturday from complications from cancer. He was 95. May his memory be for a blessing.